Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Ryan. Today, very excited because I get to have a Wild Turkey blind here. And what's exciting about this is Wild Turkey is consistently putting out pretty good stuff for relatively cheap. And this lineup, with one exception, is sort of a celebration of that. So somewhere in here is Wild Turkey 101, but it's not the most recent batches, which this year and last year, people were kind of feeling like the quality was taking a dip. So what's actually in here somewhere is Wild Turkey 101 from 2022. So a bottle that's a few years old. Just for those of you who might be skeptics about the current quality of the product. But then we have two really cool bottles. One of them in here is the 70th anniversary bottle from last year. So a lot of you may have tried this, but last year, Wild Turkey came out with a 70th anniversary bottle to commemorate 70 years of distilling for Mr. Russell. Pretty cool. And then that one, by the way, I think the MSRP was $50, and it was like a blend of 8 and 9-year-old Wild Turkey 101. So that's pretty cool. A great value there for 8 to 9-year-old juice. But then this year, somewhere in here, we also have the Wild Turkey 8-year 101. So it's not the same thing. It's not it's a small batch, but it's not exactly the same product. It's not specifically commemorating, the 70th anniversary. But it's sort of I feel like a continuation of that idea. So this is 8-year-old Wild Turkey 101. All these are proof to 101, by the way. All of them the exact same proof. And then finally in here we have the Wild Turkey 12-year. Wait, I don't know if this is still the case. This used to only be an international release. And you had to buy it through a third-party website if you were going to get it here in the States, which is how I got it years ago. And I've just never killed the bottle. So somewhere in here is my 12-year from, that probably would have been 2022 as well, I think. But anyways, let's go ahead and blind these. We'll see which one stands out as the foremost best expression of Wild Turkey 101. Let's do it. Starting things off here with Glass A. I've got my notebook here ready to take notes. Get in here and nose this. Ooh, like toffee brittle. Like peanut brittle, that crunchy toffee with the roasted peanuts inside. That's the very first thing I get hit with on the nose of this. Ooh, I like that. Heck yeah, I automatically think of the holiday season when I think peanut brittle. Both my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law have made peanut brittle at the holiday season. Usually go over to my mother-in-law's house, and there's all kinds of treats and snacks out there, including homemade fudges. But peanut brittle, always a favorite of mine. That sweet and salty combination is an S-tier flavor combination in just about anything, whether it's a savory dish, a dessert dish, whatever it is. Sweet and salty together is S-tier. I mean, this is just good old Kentucky bourbon on the nose. I mean, it really is your caramel, vanilla, toffee, peanut, brittle, all those things that you come to associate with Kentucky bourbon is right here. A little bit of stewed corn as well. Nothing about it is offbeat or, at least I think, coloring outside of the lines. Well, let's try it. Cheers. It's good. That peanut brittle note comes tail end of the palate and stretches pretty long into the finish for a 101 proof product. I think everything that was on the nose is there on the palate, but it's soft. Right? It's really approachable. If anything, I would want a little bit more gusto, right? A little bit more richness to that toffee, but it's fairly light. Otherwise, pretty tasty, but light. No surprises there, other than the foot isn't very far down on the gas. Other than that, pretty good sip. I would say that falls firmly into the category of crushable whiskey. That's the kind of thing that you just sit there and you can crush a full 2-ounce pour of that and feel like nothing went by. But yummy, nonetheless. Let's move on to Glass B. Get right in here on the nose. This is interesting. This is similar. Obviously, these are all going to be similar. It's essentially the same actual juice. But there is one distinct difference about this one on the nose compared to the previous one. And that's that the brittle notes are a little bit more tamed down on the nose. And instead, not necessarily instead, but alongside of it, I'm getting some really nice floral notes. Almost the kind of notes that would make me think of a Four Roses single barrel. Kind of like this delicate lavender kind of a note on the nose that goes alongside those traditional Kentucky bourbon notes, which I really like that on the nose. Well, let's get in on it. Cheers. Well, that's pretty good. I would say it's similarly kind of tamed down like the last sip was, but it's a little bit more syrupy, a little bit more viscous in the mouth. It reminds me of sort of like a honey syrup kind of a vibe going on. A little bit more slick, a little bit more oily, which I think a good mouthfeel goes a long way with a sip, especially because of the way that that influences the finish. It tends to be a little bit more pronounced, hang out a little bit longer, because things are kind of clinging on in here, which means that stuff's kind of getting circulated a little bit more. I think that floral note is, it's right up front. It's kind of like this confectionery sweetness alongside of a floral note, and then it pushes into what I would consider more traditional turkey notes. You know, your stewed corns and your brittles. I think I like this one more than the first, just because of that. It's like it just added another layer to it. I used to do a fair amount of like audio editing, and one of the things that could like really elevate a track is when you had a track that was fairly simple, but then you added another simple layer to it that complemented the other simple layer, and now you end up with something that just feels more complex. Even though it's just two simple things layered on top of each other, now you have a track that's a little bit more compelling, a little more distinct, has more character to it. That's what's happening right here with Glass B. Take some notes here so I don't forget for my final rankings. We move on to Glass C. Okay, whoa. The nose of this is so different. It's hard to believe this is the same like recipe. This is essentially the same juice, just different ages and, you know, batch sizes and stuff like that. This makes me think of blueberry cobbler on the nose. Straight up. It's got a little bit of that savory, you know, bready cobbler note, but there's also this sweet pronounced blueberry note as well. Holy heck, I love that nose. It's amazing that this is so much fruitier than the other two. The other two, I didn't get any like fruit notes at all, and then this one comes out swinging with it like, hey, no, I'm the star of the show. I'm not gonna say it's overbearing, but it does sort of berry to an extent those more caramely and toffee and nutty notes. They're still in there, but this is dominant. Either way, it's a gorgeous nose. I can't wait to sip on it though. Cheers. Heck yeah. Got blueberry note. Consistent through everything. I kid you not, I have blueberry coffee cake upstairs right now that my mother-in-law sent home with me. The kids have been munching on it, but it's delicious. This reminds me, I should drink this, whatever this is, alongside a slice of that blueberry coffee cake tonight. I feel like that would be an amazing, a very good use of my time. This is dynamite. I want this to be 120 proof. I know all these are 101, but this one's really good, and I want it to have a little bit more of that basiness to go alongside, a little bit of that cinnamon, a little bit of that blueberry, but give me a little bit more proof here. I think that would elevate this sip even more. Whatever this is, give us some more proof, and I think it would slay. Are people still saying that? Slay? I say it to my wife when she's popping off in a video game, like, slay queen. And then the 12-year-olds in chat telling me that I'm cringe. And they're probably right, but I'm okay with it. Hey, I really liked that. Let's move on to the last one. Blueberry is gone, but instead this one has, I want to say it's got like a dusty vibe. It's like if you were to find an old bottle of Wild Turkey before they changed the bottling to have the sort of embossed, glass turkey on the side. Like if you find an old school bottle of Wild Turkey 101 in somebody, like your grandpa's attic or something, or an estate sale. It's got that warehouse funk to it, right? It reminds me a lot of Glass A, but you know how we said Glass B was like A with a new layer to it? This one tastes like Glass A with a different layer to it as well, but instead of that floral component and the honey slickness component instead, this one is more dusty, funky warehouse. Well, let's try it. Cheers. This one has a little bit more oomph to it than some of the others. Doesn't feel quite as muted. If anything, it kind of reminds me of a Snickers bar, where you get the peanuts and the caramel and a little bit of milk chocolate. It's kind of that sort of a vibe going on here, that sweet and savory. A little bit of that sort of funkiness that we were getting on the nose. It does come back around in the finish, but I wish it was just a little bit more pronounced. But I can say that if this is like a $45 bottle or a $50 bottle, this is pretty good value because this tastes really good. It's just good Kentucky bourbon right there. It's like Glass A with a different spin, different layer to it. Okay, I gotta rank these now. And I'm having trouble with two of them in particular. So let me revisit these real quick and then give you my final rankings, and then I'll reveal what they've been. Sound good? Okay, I have my final rankings. You ready for them? This was kind of tough. Two of them were firmly in their spots. My last place and my first place were firmly locked in. and then I was struggling with second and third. And I flip-flopped a couple of times. I will admit, this wasn't definitive. I ended up falling off the log, but I feel like I could go either way. You know, if I did this blind again, I could go either way the next time. Who knows? But here's what I ended up with. Glass A is going to take fourth place. That's our last place. It wasn't bad at all. If anything, if I had to guess, I would guess that this is just a standard 101. I don't know that definitively, but that would be my guess. But yes, so that one, crushable, right? But a little bit muted, a little bit dialed back, okay? Which would make sense if it was like, you know, a $25, $30 bottle. You can't argue with that. Third place, this is where I struggled. Third place is going to go to Glass B. Glass B taking third place. This is the one that we said it was like Glass A, but if Glass A kind of wove in a new layer, a new component. And it was that sort of floral and honey note. And I like that. I really do like floral notes in whiskey. I feel like they could have done that, even taken it a little bit further. But either way, I really liked that sip. It was really hard to place that one behind Glass D, which was our second place. Second place goes to Glass D. And this is, again, it's like Glass A, but with a new layer, a new component added to it. This one was more of like your dusty, funky warehouse vibes, and I'm a sucker for that note. So that one just slightly edged out Glass B. My first place then obviously goes to Glass C. This is the one we got the blueberry cobbler notes on. Now, some predictions. My predictions are that Glass A is Wild Turkey 101 standard. And that was my last place. I think my first place has got to be the 12-year. And just in terms of how it tastes. Because I consistently get that blueberry note on that bottle. Well, fairly consistently. I think that I've now had this thing in like 3 blinds. And I think there was one time I didn't pick up on it. Because I'm an idiot. I'm a noob. I don't even know why you're watching this channel. I don't know what I'm talking about. Clearly, if I can't detect that bottle every time, I must be a hack. And a fake and a fraud. Anyways, usually I get that blueberry note, and I got that. So I think that's what that is. The only catch is that that's a $150 bottle. So that's the challenge there. Because Wild Turkey's value is like, it's dynamite, right? You know, these other bottles are like, you got 2 bottles in here that are 8-year-old juice minimum for $45, $50. I mean, how do you argue with that? It's a great deal. But then you got the 12-year that's international release only at the time, $150. You probably have to pay more than that if you're getting it in the States. So the value is then lost. It's a really good pour. I don't know if it's a $150 pour, but it's still really good. But just in this lineup, I think it tasted the best. It may not even be what it is. I'm getting ahead of myself, putting the horse before the carriage. Putting the cart before the horses. The cart and the horse are out of order. That's what I'm getting at here. I think the other two, my second and third places, are the 70th anniversary and the 8-year. But I don't know which is which. I have not had enough of that. I only had 1 bottle of the 70th anniversary, and that was last year. So I don't remember it enough to identify it. But I think that those two are those 2 bottles, which makes sense why they're pretty close. But who knows? They're only a $5 price point difference. So we'll see. Okay. I got them ranked. Let's reveal them. Okay, let's start with my last place. Glass A is going to be... Hey, that is. It is the 101. That's the 2022 Wild Turkey 101. It's like 25... I think in 2022, would that have been... I think it would have just been a $25 bottle, right? I think that was MSRP back then. Which is hard to argue with. Crushable, right? Crushable. Really good stuff. Third place goes to Glass B. That one was the 8-year. Okay. So that's the 2025 new release, the 8-year. Added that floral component. I really liked it. I definitely really liked it. Nothing wrong with it at all. I liked the addition of that slick, kind of oily mouthfeel. I think it really takes 101 and elevates it even further. Second place goes to... Okay, it's the 70th. Yep. So this is the one from last year. This one had that sort of dusty, funky warehouse note to it, which I really appreciated. And first place then, went to the 12-year. 12-year! Here's what's interesting about it, though. While this is a dynamite pour, I don't know that it's worth $150. No, I can't say that. I do not think it's worth $150. Let me rephrase it. I think $100 would be a fair price for this product. Maybe you could argue $120 if you're doing the $10 per age, year stated. I don't know. For me, this tastes like a $100 bottle. It's really good. I don't think it's 150 bucks good. So even though this one took first place in terms of just the way it tastes, if I were to go out and see all these lined up at MSRP, I think the one that I would buy would end up being the 70th anniversary or the 8-year. Those two are like dynamite value bottles that you cannot argue with. Both of them exceptionally good tasting, right? And not going to break the bank at all. I can just say that I've spent a lot more on bottles I've liked a lot less, right? Sort of like a Bilbo Baggins way of saying that. I've spent twice as much on bottles I've liked half as much as I like these two. Does that make sense? I don't know. I feel like my coherency today is lacking. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. And big shout out to the guys that sent in samples for this blind. You know, one of those bottles was my own. And then Jesse and John, appreciate you guys for sending in the other bottles to supplement the blind. Yeah, you guys are great. Here, well, cheers to the 70th anniversary. With that, I say cheers, my friends. Had them backwards. May you live richly and get better with age. And I hope to catch you in the next one. Bye-bye. Oh, also, which one of these is your favorite? Bye.